It is time for another Magical Monday. And as I was preparing to sit down, meaning like pulling my hair into a potato chip clip, one of my college roommates used to call them that, and getting my act together, I have to tell you, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before, I kept hearing, just another Magic Monday. If you know, you know. I had the pocket rocker tape to that song, so I listened to it a lot. It was Manic Monday, for those who know. Anyway, so play that theme song when I come on. How about that? It'll do my heart good. Anyway, I was anchoring and tuning into what's on my radar that I want to share about this morning, because I've always got lots of tabs open. And I'm called to share about, since this is behind the curtain style, not so much like service and guidance and coaching. I'm really still sitting with a session I had last week with a new coach I'm working with. And it's somebody, her name is Karen Hawkwood. She's awesome. She blends astrological awareness and insights with her own archetypal system and then applies it to, basically continuing the ongoing process of reclaiming and loving up on and embracing the different parts and pieces of our authentic self, right? So it's shadow work, meaning making the unconscious conscious and all that good stuff. You know my jam. So I had a session with her, and it was really interesting because, again, before that session, she did not know me at all. She just had my birth information. And one of the things that came out of it was, an assortment of my primary archetypes. And one of the primary ones was this adventurer, seeker, mystic archetype. That will probably not surprise anyone who's been following me for any amount of time. But she also shared that, and this was so validating, this is part of why I love systems that are based in just birth information and aren't self-assessment type things, because she has no way of knowing this other than knowing it, right? But she talked about how from the end of 2019 until this, it'll calm this year, but especially in the next month, the intensity of it will calm. I have had cycles and cycles and cycles and cycles of intensity. And she made comments about how it was almost like she doesn't know how I managed it with such grace, and that I was able to talk about it in a non-traumatized way. And I could hear it in her voice that she was a bit taken aback by my response to the last about 4 years of my life. And when I've been sitting with that, like, okay, so what is that about? And I think it is this adventurer archetype. So I'm called to just share a bit about that today. So as one of my, I think it's one of my primary two archetypes, there's this part of me that is really interested and invested in seeking and discovering parts and pieces and connections that weave meaning in life. And I say to my friends a lot, I'm a chronic meaning maker, right? I've kind of been that way ever since I can remember. Again, if I'm literally designed to be that way, of course. But the last 4 years have been everything from a new marriage and all the adjustments that come with that, moving to a new house, moving in, actually creating a space with my husband, not to mention all of the pandemic and business pivots and all of that. Then we decided to have, my partner hiked the Appalachian Trail to follow his dream. And during that time, I broke my foot, first broken bone ever, got COVID for the second time, dealing with financial worries. Like it was a lot. And I've checked myself a lot to ask myself, are you bypassing? Are you ignoring what's real? And the truth is, I guarantee I was to some extent, because we're humans and we do that to mitigate stress. Like I think the whole thing of like bypassing is bad. I have a little bit of eye rolliness about that because we're humans and we're going to, because we have limited capacity with what we can digest in life sometimes. So like, yes, I want to greet truth with wide open eyes and all of that. And I'm also not going to beat myself up if I can't embrace all of the truth all of the time. So anyway, the last, not even 4 years, like 3.5 years have been a lot. And this adventurer part of me that's like, okay, this is a lot. This is intense. And what else is there? What else can I see in the midst of this storm? What else can I know in the midst of this intensity? What else can I find and discover while things are uprooted and swirling? And I think that's been my life raft, really. And I don't know another way to be, because that's how I move through life. But hindsight is so illuminating. And when I look back, I really think, even though there were times that I was like curled up in a ball crying, for sure, greeting my core wounds. And there was always this sense that I was still okay in the mess. And I think it was that commitment to being in the adventure that is life, rather than buying into what we're taught, which is more of a middle of the road, easy, steady path. And I don't think life is always meant to be that way. I love it sometimes when it is, and I get to take a breather and like play a little bit more or whatever it is, relax. But life is meant to grow us. Life in my world is meant to be an adventure. It's meant to be something that illuminates new parts and pieces of the mystery of life. And that, I think, really changed things. And it also, on a nervous system level, I think helped me feel less attacked by life, and therefore able to like stay in my body and stay curious and all of these things while hard things were happening. And I'm gonna always say this again and again, that doesn't mean there isn't human emotion. That doesn't mean there isn't very real human hardship or experience when we go through these times. Whatever your time is, I'm sure you have ideas that come up or situations that come up for you. You're like, yeah, that was fucking hard. We have that part, but it's like a guiding North Star when we stay curious. And again, you don't have to have this archetype in your chart like I do. You don't have to have it, but I'm sort of offering this part of me to you because I think we can choose to embrace archetypes as well. We can say, I want to cultivate more of that, because archetypes exist because they are universal aspects of human experience, meaning this connects to kind of this idea of oneness, meaning we all have our cards shuffled in different orders and ways. But when it comes to the core essence of humanity, we all have the same parts and pieces, just to varying degrees and all of those kinds of things. So like, we all have an adventurer part. We all have a nurturer part. We all have all these things, even if they've been squashed, even if they've been suppressed, even if they've been judged, even if they've been hidden. Right? We all have them to some extent, and we all have an understanding of them. We might have a different orientation with them or to them, but there's part of our cellular awareness that gets it with whatever archetype. So I'm offering this because I think, like, what happens when you look at the thing that is hardest in your life right now as an adventure? What is it when you take away the judgment, take away the attachment, and take away the narrative around how it should be to be right, and then just embrace it as an adventure? Every great movie, book, that is narrative in nature has some sort of heroic challenge, overcoming, adventure, perhaps bliss. Like, learning. There's some part of that, and we are no different, right? Just because we're living real life and not a story doesn't mean we're different. So that's what I'm called to offer today, is like, what if this idea of, certainty or control or figuring out from the left brain is highly overrated? And what if it actually is all about being in the adventure with both feet, and all of our human experience, like being in it to get to where we want to go? I've started, not right now, but I started a while ago, embracing my business as an adventure. Every program I launch is an adventure. It's showing me something. It's got a meaning to it, every bit, whether it's a perceived failure, a perceived success, whatever it is. I make up that it's like I'm on the scavenger hunt, collecting bits and pieces of meaning and insight. And when I started looking at it like that, I was able to really move forward more with what is actually mine to do, without getting stuck in the weeds and tangles, and it feels like thorny brush of the human conditioning that says what's right and wrong. I was able to just be. And so I think there's something there for humanity, with whether it's on an individual scale, a family scale, a relational scale, whatever, that, I mean, the only way through is through. And we often think that if we can just figure something out, we can kind of hop over like a hurdle. And I make up, it usually doesn't work that way. So learning how to build capacity to be the adventurer in the journey of our lives is pretty life-changing. It doesn't mean we have to vote on our experiences, or we can say this sucks, this is great, totally. But also knowing that it's an adventure is perhaps the most profound thing to build grace and ease while navigating hardship. That's what I got for y'all today. Let me know. What do you think? Are you adventuring? Are you judging yourself? What's what?